There's some blinking. Oh, come on. We were doing so good.
Previously on Coco Town.
Two-part episode of Game Revolutions. We will add code to determine that the car needs to crash. We're going to create an animated crash sequence showing the car to blow into smithereens and fly off into the sky. So many bugs, and I mean so many bugs. Okay. We are definitely allowing ourselves to crash. I mean, that looks yeah. Oh, yeah, and there it goes. Oh, man! Come on! I just fixed it! By the end of part 1, our intrepid adventurer was having difficulties with his masking. Fringes of green remained around the car top as it exploded up into the air. He found the cause several times, but the problem remained. He believes he has found the cause now. Let's tune in and see what he's got. Well, this one took a while. I had to look at the bit mask with more of a fine-tooth comb. And I found this. Did you see this the first time around? No one raised their hand and said, "Hey, what are you doing?" But I'm returning the original byte every time rather than the changed bytes. This was doing nothing. So fixing the Java code changes my mask from this to this. Ooh, oh. That looked a little bit better. Let's try that again. Looked like I had seen some green, but not as much. Yeah, a little green. There's a little green around it, but not all around it. Okay, this might be it. This is where I'm initializing just before the main car explosion loop starts, which is down here. I think I'm grabbing the wrong bytes of the car top to copy into the exploded car top buffer. So I think in the end I might be drawing the wrong bytes. I think I'm going up too high. I think I want to go up 4 lines. Because my D starts me at the very last line. I go up 6 lines and put that into U. And that gives me the lower right-hand corner of the car's top. And I think I only want to go up another 4 lines. And the reason is that the car consists of 11 lines of pixels, initially drawn from a Y position of 168 up to a position of 158. So that means if I start here and I want to go up to the top line, I subtract a total of 10. Not a total of 11, even though it's 11 lines. Off by 1 errors, man. Okay, let's see if this does it. Oh, I think that looks right. Okay. One more time. I like it. I've added a second piece to the explosion. And adding it to fit in with the rest of the code that already kind of paved the way ended up not being too difficult. So first we have to prime the exploded car right buffer with the bytes of the actual bottom right-hand corner of the car that are on the screen. And in the move car pieces subroutine, after we've taken care of the car top and copied that over, we now do similar stuff for the car right, just have to change the parameters. And you'll notice that in this new code, I'm having the car bottom right portion move to the right by 1 byte each time in the animation. So the car top goes up, 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 and the bottom right goes right. So it's kind of like the car, the different pieces are flying off in different directions. And I ran the Java to generate the car left mask and the car right mask. So they're both ready to go. And that should do it. Okay. Okay. Well, one thing that's obviously wrong is a copy-paste error in the new code where I initialize my buffers with the bytes that are on the screen. Instead of reading from the screen where the exploded car right lives, I'm reading where the top is, because I copy-pasted this from here. Okay, I mean, I had to fix it, right? It was definitely something that needed fixing. It's just that wasn't it. Okay, it wasn't like this crazy. All right, I'll take another look. Okay, related to the fix that I just did, I realized I was never actually initializing this. This is the new code now that's initializing it. I had the code to initialize the car top LRT, but not the code to initialize the car right LRT. And of course, we need it initialized because this is where I need to use it here in this to do the copy. So, okay. Okay, and okay. Okay. So we do expect it to keep on going to the right and then eventually wrapping around and stuff, but we don't expect it to be all red like that. It shouldn't be red. See, this isn't all red, but now it is. Now it is red as it's shooting off to the right there. So why is it all red? So I think I'm getting all red because I'm priming my exploded car right buffer with the wrong bytes. So what I was doing, I was moving to the left by 3 bytes, which I do believe I need to do, but I also need to go up. I need to go up by 5 lines. So it should be something like this. U is starting at the lower right-hand corner of the bottom right portion of the car. I'm moving it to the left of the bottom right portion of the car, but the bottom right portion of the car is 6 lines tall, so if I'm sitting at the lowest line, I need to subtract 5 lines to get up to the top line. Yeah! Yeah! Yeah. Yes. I think that's the right color now. Yeah. I think you can even make out that's the wheel. And then, you know, it's clear inside the wheel, so we're seeing the... Yeah. Let's do that again. I think that's about right. Okay. Next up, I'd like to try playing with the path that the pieces of the car take as they explode and fly through the air. So starting with the bottom right piece, rather than just having it go right, I'm now using this table of offsets. So I'm just going to read the next value in that table, add it to my D, and then I'll store that D into the exploded car right LRT. And that, of course, is the variable which tells us where we're going to be drawing that piece of the car next. So to start with, my offsets table is pretty simple. It will, on the first frame, move to the right by 1. On the second frame, it will move up. On the third frame, it will move up. On the fourth frame, it will move to the right. It'll just keep cycling around. So this will have it going diagonal up to the right. I'm guessing this will require some amount of tweaking because each time I go up, I'm going up by 1 vertical pixel length, but each time I go to the right, I'm moving to the right by 4 horizontal pixel lengths. So not only am I going to the right way more than am I going up pixel-wise, but even the size of the pixel horizontally is larger than it is vertically. So I'm sure this is not going to be what I ultimately arrive at, but let's just see if we can get these offsets to work at all. Okay, that's not too bad. Obviously, I'm not going to want all that wrapping around and stuff. Next, I've added the bottom left piece of the car to the action. So first up, we have to initialize like we initialize the other pieces. And we have to update the bottom left piece like we were updating other pieces, very much like we're doing with the bottom right, except this time we're using the left movement offset cur. And also the size is a bit different. This is 2x6, whereas the right piece is 3x6. Otherwise, it's the same idea. And the offsets, by the way, are kind of similar to the right offset, except this is going up higher, faster. So I'm dedicating more frames to going up, 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 up than the right piece. And of course, I'm moving the left piece to the left. Oh, wait, there's a little bit of the left. I saw a shadow of the left in green up here. I didn't see any of it here, so it was all in green. So wrong colors again. Okay, a couple things to try. First of all, when I initialize the buffer of what's in the car left, that is wrong. That offset there is wrong. I am already starting at the lower right-hand corner of the bottom left portion of the car, so I don't need to traverse left a full 5 bytes. That should be 2. And let's play with the path on the left a bit. Based on what I did see, I think this should probably go up a bit faster. So I'm going to try replacing that with that. Oh, okay. That looks pretty good. But there is something that's nagging me. See this yellow square? What is this? There's no part of the car that looks like this yellow square. And no part of it should be left behind anyway, so where is this coming from? Okay, I think I found it. This is a helper routine I haven't shown before because it's so boring. What could be the point of showing this? It just blasts a 5x5 byte wide and tall rectangle full of green. And it just does so using stack blasting. Can you spot the bug? Now do you see what the bug was? Okie doke. Oh, good. Yellow is gone. Okay. I think maybe next we can work on the trajectories of these pieces of the car and maybe make the explosion look a little bit more reasonable. Here are the offsets we're going to try. We have the car moving up by 2 lines each frame. The bottom left moves up by 2 lines and to the left. And then 2 line, 2 line, 2 line, 2 line, and then wrapping around 2 lines to the left. So this should be moving to the left much slower. And the right goes up by 2 lines, but then to the right by 1. And then up by 2 lines, up by 2 lines. Okay, I think those side parts split apart really fast. So now let's try moving the car top up even faster so that it can try to keep up with the left and the right, which veer off left and right so fast. What I am going to do though is have the left piece, rather than having it move to the left, I'm going to have it move to the right as well. So we're going up by 2 lines, up by 2 lines to the right by 1 byte, up by 2 lines, up by 2 lines. And the right piece is also moving to the right, but just a bit faster. I've also decided to add some termination code. I got a bit tired of seeing the thing crash every single time, whether I did it properly or not. So here in Move Car Pieces, for example, for the top piece, I figure out where the location is for that yellow status bar at the top. I put that onto my stack, and now I can use it to compare the exploded car top left-right corner. And if the car is lower than the status, meaning in the screen it is above the status, then I skip. I just don't do anything with the top piece anymore. And I move on to the right piece. And then I have similar code for the right piece to do the same kind of checking. I'm keeping that slot on the stack and I'm just changing it to different values to compare with each time. And if the right's out of bounds, we just move on to the left. And if the left is out of bounds, we move on to the done. And then down here in the done, we pull that off and we return. Oh, that looks pretty good. I think it looks pretty good all around. Am I done? I think I'm done. I just need to do some fit and finish and all that temporary code we need to replace with the real code that I'm going to want to do. So the first thing that I'm going to do is in draw obstacle, which is where I'm doing my hit detection. I'm not going to directly branch from here to the explosion initialization loop and then the explosion loop. Instead, I'm just going to set a variable. So I'm doing all of my hit checking, and then I skip if it's not crashing, I skip if it's not, but if I decide that it has crashed, I increment this variable, and then I just continue on with life as if nothing happened. Then back in the main loop, I test it at the end of having drawn all the obstacles and drawn the car and everything. So here the stack is really just kind of untouched. I'm not in the middle of any subroutine, I haven't pushed anything onto it. And if someone has told me that the car has had an owie, then we go to the main car explosion loop in it, which then falls down into the loop. Now the loop is just going to continue on forever, where each piece of the car is going to stop moving once it's reached its boundary, but then I'm just going to kind of hang here for a while. That's okay, I just want to verify that this stuff works, and I'll take care of that later. Nice. And you'll notice the obstacle now remains intact because of the timing of when I'm doing everything. If you recall from before, the obstacle wasn't fully drawn, and you end up with like just a piece of it as the car flies off, but now this looks a bit more solid. Next up, I don't want to hang anymore. I want to detect that all the pieces of the car have stopped flying because they've hit their boundary, and then return back to the main loop. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to keep a counter on the stack. And every time I skip drawing a piece because it's hit its boundary, I will not increment that counter. But if I don't skip, if I do draw it, then I'll increment it. So I'll increment it here, here, and here. So throughout this loop, the stack looks kind of like this. We pushed the A, which is that new counter, and then we pushed D after we initialized it. This is the value that we're comparing against to see if the piece of the car has hit that static yellow status region at the very top of the screen. So I'm using this for comparisons. I'm using this as my counter. And so every time I need to use this as my counter, I have to add 2 to S to skip over D and to get to here. That's why all of these are inc 2, S. And then at the bottom, I set the condition code bits based on what the value of that was. So if it was 0, then that means that I didn't move anything, and this was a total no-op. If it's non-zero, then something happened. And finally, I need to balance the stack. I don't really care about restoring A, and X is clearly the wrong register. It was A and D, but I can't very well pull into A and D now, can I? So all that really matters is that I clear these 3 bytes down, and so I can get down to my return address, and that's what this is doing. 1 byte plus 2 bytes is 3, and then I'm going to return. And when I return from here, since the condition code has already been set, the Z bit has already been set, all I got to do is this. If it's 0, I go straight to the main loop. In fact, I just go to the very beginning of the game. So what we should see is the car pieces flying up to the top, and then immediately we reset and we start playing again. All right, very good. This is exactly what we want. This is good. So I can actually like try to play it. Nice, very good. All right, sometimes we wrap around with the flying. Okay, fine. Huh. Okay, that took a while to get there. This will be fun to track down, since reproducing it seems to take a while. A likely suspect of all of this is the first time I've ever gone back to the very beginning of main. It used to be before I was just running through the loop, and I wasn't reinitializing anything. Now I am reinitializing some stuff, but probably not reinitializing enough. For example, all of the buffer infos, which contain information particular to each of the 2 buffers, I I really should have a routine that clears everything out, in particular, the portions that keep track of the obstacles and the bullets that have been drawn in each of the buffers. Really need to make sure those things are clearly no longer in use, that everything is all nulled up and freed. Similarly, I need to do this for all of the bullet states. So I have just a bunch of new initialization code that I now call at the very beginning of main init. So here at the beginning of main init, which is where I'm going back to after the explosion, we need to make sure that we init the buffer infos. And we need to initialize the bullet state. We need to initialize the obstacle state. So this should hopefully... Okay, let's just run it. Nothing. Nothing. Nothing at all. Okay. And now it's time for another game of Can You See the Bug? Here's one of those new routines I added to help with the initialization. First, we clear the bullet info count. Then we go into our bullet info array of structures. And for each one, we clear the type. We advance to the next one. We compare to see if we're at the end, and if not, we loop back up. What's wrong with this method? Do 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 do. Yeah. Okay, let's try this one. There we are. There we are. Everything's good. I can shoot. I can jump. I can... Oh, there was some blinking. Oh, come on. We were doing so good. Okay, gang. I have figured out all of the issues and it does now work. I will show you a couple of the more hilarious mistakes that I made so that you may laugh at me. First of all, boom. I just forgot the most important part of that expression. Null 2 is 2 bytes, not 1. You see? A couple more fixes that were less hilarious, and this is what we have now. Okay, I think we're good. Well, that took a while. I hope you enjoyed watching all of my silly mistakes. Next time, we get scoring working. Until then, thank you for watching.